Okay.
First, I want to tell you that she came from the greatest Sadiqim.
Well, first say what your mother's name, that Devorah is named after her,
Oh.
because they know.
My mother, known as a big tzedekis, her name was Dvorah, and I think that was part of the name of the Devorah Chaim's mother. Her name, the way I heard from my brothers, was really Rechel Dvorah, but there was a Baba Rechel amongst the Jikeva family, so they couldn't name a Rechel. They named Rechel another one and named her only Dvorah. Now, her life was really all al Teure, al Avoide, al Gemilas Chasudim in full sense of the word. I start with the first real sacrifice that everybody knows. My father was offered a very big rabbinic position in America that everybody could have lived well and survived. My mother refused to go because she was afraid it wouldn't be religious enough for her way. One of the most important thing that I can remember, she was very makpid on talking and language. She really was superstitious and always al tiftach peile suten, to a point that before the war, your father, which is my brother, the loser, was in the army, and as the war broke out, she kept on blaming Chasky and Sender because they kept on saying there will be a war. Of course, she knew that, but that's what her way, not to bring bad things over the mouth. Now, one of the things she did, whatever she did, certain mitzvahs, she was a very serious person and kept quiet. One of the important things we found out after she was nifter, that she was fasting Mondays and Thursdays and didn't eat meat till Shabbos because they took my brother loser to the army, and she tortured herself with the hope that that will be a yeshia naschis for him. We found it out from the Dayan that told my father that he came over, or she went to him to be mataneder, as she didn't feel well and she started feeling weak. One of Mesiras Nefesh that she had, we had cousins that were Yisoimim, her brother's children, and she sort of took care and raised them with real Mesiras Nefesh, sacrificing every extra penny she had to help them. Now, she was completely involved herself to help the poor in the city. In a case, a bocher, a yeshiva bocher, never got mentally sick, and they were poor people and he had to go to a special hospital. My mother herself took upon herself and raised the money to send him there, and he came back cured. My mother made a real yontif. I never saw her in such happy mood, and made a big reception, feeling that she accomplished. He was saved. Unfortunately, Hitler took care of him after that. I heard it from my father. There was a poor Kalle in town, and by us, the minigod, you have to shave her hair off. I don't know why no one else was in charge to do it, but no one in town, city wanted to do the job to take share because never of cleanliness. My mother was very getting nauseous of every unpleasant, dirty thing. She, as the Rebbetzin from the city, took care, and she was the one that shaved the hair off. Let me see. Now, during the war, when there was ever very little food to eat, there were refugees in town. And as you know, my mother fasted as like Mondays and Thursdays. That must have been on a day when she didn't fast. If there was a bread, they were cut in pieces and give everybody a little piece to have it. My mother had a little piece of bread, washed, made a moitzi. As a little yingeli came out from the refugees, ich bin hingerig. She made a moitzi, bit off the piece, and gave the boy away. And we children were protesting. We wanted that piece. My mother with her hand pushed us all away, gave that last piece of bread that she didn't eat all week away to that child, to that yingeli. There was also a woman with a girl from, I don't know how old, 8, 9 years or younger. She was coming from another town, going somewhere else, and couldn't get, for whatever reason. I don't know, that we never knew that woman. I don't know, maybe mother didn't know from where she is. She didn't have where to stay. Beds were taken. My mother took her in with the girl, eating us, sharing whatever food we have together. Then I think she left. Never heard of her, although she kept on saying her daughter has a farm, she was sent, but never, that's what she took care and gave her a home as though she bought a relative of ours. Then, as there were refugees going and coming, trying to escape, we gave away the house, everybody to sleep the way we could, with whatever blankets we had, helping everybody. There was one Yid that there were no more beds, that made my mother, a bit of my parents, made him place, told him to lie down on the bench. These are the benches in the room where people davened. In the middle of the night, my mother realized that she had no more blankets, only her own. She went in the middle of the night, no one should know, it was a cold night, and gave that blanket to that Yid. And after this, she developed pneumonia. And from this pneumonia, she was never sick and got lifted. Now there's so many things to talk about that it's really impossible. Not only it's impossible to talk all about it. First of all, I'm very careful, I'm afraid, not to say something that wasn't exactly the way it is. And then there were a lot of things she did we never knew. But as a child, she was so careful with the chinuch that I don't remember how old I was, that never gave me Shabbos morning to eat until I had to make Kiddush myself. Then on Tisha B'Av, the woman came, that was our minute, and my mother would read them, not the whole city or some, she was reading them the Chom Beis HaMikdash. After she finished with them, I must have been a child of 4 or 5, definitely not 6 years. She took a pot, turned it around, set me down on the pot, and gave me a piece of chocolate, a package wrapped, I remember, in red paper, and read it for me the garden over again, though my mother was very hesitated from being hoarse. After reading for the women, she was mommy's horse to read it for me. She read the whole garden, and as a child I was playing with a piece of chocolate rather than listening. After she finished, she took away that piece of chocolate and she said, "Es ist Essen morgen, Mädchen." Then came Shabbos Nachmi. Again, I was a little girl, and she was a little maid, always involved in the tzadre. And she says to me, "You know, hand is Shabbos Nachmi. Rabbi Shalom hat gesagt, Nachmi, Nachmi, Ami." Hat sich getreist das Volk. She explained me what a Nachmi, Nachmi, Ami. And so these things can go on. And I hope your children will realize the greatness of it and realize and understand that you cannot talk more and more. But from this, they'll understand what a great grandmother, as much as the other grandmother, that they're both Sitkunians, and they should all have be Melissa Yoshim, I don't know, for all of us. That's all I could say. I mean, I can't keep on talking.